Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Brightside Talks. So lovely for you to join us. I'm Deborah, and I'm an engagement officer at Brightside, and I'll be hosting the latest series of our Brightside Talks. As you may know, for the time being, while schools are closed, Brightside is putting on a special set of Brightside Talks to keep you occupied, to give you something to watch and to do. This is another one of our Brightside Talks in this series. Today we'll be talking about embracing change to thrive. And I have an amazing speaker who will be sharing their presentation with you in just a moment. I just wanted to remind you that there is a chat box function. So if you do want to ask our speaker any questions, please put them into the chat and we'll go through them at the end of the talk. I think that is all for now. So without further ado, I'll pass on to Tasneem to take away our talk. Thanks, Tasneem.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Very happy to be here. And, it's a topic that is pretty close to my heart about change and how you embrace it. So before we go in the topic in detail, I'll just give you a brief overview of myself, where I come from and what I've done so far. So I come from a very humble background, born and raised in Pakistan. My parents had an increased focus on the importance of getting good education and excelling at it as well. And with that, what it entails is just a lot of hard work. And that sort of was part of the nurture that was done, and how, it has played a crucial and a very important role in my life as I've progressed from, going through different phases of education, university, into my career. And that has the importance of, working hard during your education and continuing that work ethic into the work life has paid off for me. I've always been in market research in progressive roles. I've worked, as you can see on the map, I've lived in 5 countries. I've worked in 4, just due to, personal life circumstances. And the one thing that has really enabled me to sort of cope with constant change is this tenacity to keep looking forward and seeing things positively. And I've also recently become a life coach, so it's a new journey for me, and I'm very excited about that. So just to share a bit of life learning for myself, one of the things that I've been very fortunate to have in my life is what I call a cheerleader. Early on, my parents were always very, steadfast and, standing beside me and supporting me. Beside that, as I went through school and then high school and then university, I've always had sort of these professors and teachers that I can look up to and build that bond. And as I entered my work life very early on, I identified these informal mentors that I can look up to, and who were these hidden cheerleaders that, when things went well, they were there to remind me that, it's my strengths that have enabled me to achieve that, which is really valuable, especially for women. When women go through imposter syndrome, it's very widespread. And just a reminder of that is really helpful as you go through life. And then, when things are not so good, you need somebody to remind you of what your worth is, how important you are. And that, just one fall doesn't mean or doesn't define you. So I would really encourage you to look around you and have those cheerleaders, even one in your life, that can support you. So that was a bit about myself. And now just going to the topic, before we jump into it, I sort of want to set the stage and really define what change means. So I Googled, and the definitions that came up were, change is make or become different. So keep that in mind as we progress through the presentation. Alter or modify, and then swap or exchange. So what does that mean? Naturally, I also wanted to understand what is the opposite of change if we don't change. What came up was it's to be fixed, have stability, so stabilize, set, or even plateau. So it was quite interesting to see how even if they're not completely opposite, they're quite contrasting in what it means. And then I also wanted to look at what does opportunity mean in academic terms. So defining opportunity was about what came up was a time or set of circumstances that make it possible to do something. It can be unexpected but marvelous, which really resonated with me. Unique and agreeable, and even exhilarating. So these definitions really stood out. And what I did was that I was looking at certain images and what does opportunity mean to me, and how can I reflect it back to you. So looking at these three pictures, let's look at the first one, which is the man running along the road. And what that signifies is that, you're just going full speed on with your education and, your early careers, and there'll be some twists and turns, and along the way, there might be some opportunities, which is great. Another one is, a man or woman has three different choices. You pick one, and it can be the best opportunity or really not. And that's fine too. And then the one that resonated most with me is on the top left corner. It's a labyrinth, and you have a goal, and that's where you want to reach. But you enter it, and along the way you have certain choices, and there's some twists and turns, and you realize that every decision that you make can be an opportunity or something that really limits you. And that's in reality, that's just how my story is, and that's how I see life and opportunities overall. So, having said that background, and now that you understand what change is and what opportunity is, I would like you to ponder this specific statement: change equals opportunity. Just to give you a background on how I came across this and why it means so much to me, is when there was, in my old organization, there was a major influx in we didn't know what the future would look like. There was a strategic review that was announced. Our CEO was taking a voluntary retirement. There was so much going on, and there was a lot of job uncertainty. So I reached out to my mentor, and I messaged him, and I was like, "Can we talk?" And he was very senior in thick of things. He immediately replied back saying, "Change equals opportunity, and we'll talk about that later." And so he left me with that before I could speak to him. And I haven't forgotten this. It was a new perspective, something that I had not considered before. And I asked myself, what does it mean for me? What does change equals opportunity? What can I capitalize on right now? So, I lean on to you now more on that how do you start thinking about any change in a positive way that allows you to move forward? Perspective that broadens your thinking, makes it an exhilarating experience, unexpected but marvelous, a circumstance that makes it possible to do something, really anything. One of the biggest hurdles I've seen in people when it comes to either embracing change or resisting it is the limiting beliefs that they hold. So, what are limiting beliefs? Let's discuss this, and then we'll go into the specific examples that you see on the screen. Limiting beliefs hold you back in realizing your full potential. What this means is these are thought patterns which are ingrained by repeated negative thoughts. Most of the time, we don't even know we have these. They can be conditioned thoughts and behaviors, our truth, our, the versions that we live our daily lives by. And having said that, I also believe that you have the power and the will to change what you think. By repeated new thinking, you can create new neural pathways that allow you to consider opportunities and possibilities you didn't even know existed for you. So, just having said that, let's go into a few examples and understand what is a limiting belief. It can start with, in the current scenario, I will not know what my grades would have been in A levels, to thinking, I know what I'm capable of and I can prove it in other ways. my job opportunities are impacted because of the virus, I can explore something that I never really thought of. Thinking about my manager is micromanaging me because I'm working from home, and replace it by how can I be more proactive and earn his trust. And another limiting belief is the world will never be the same. There's lots and lots of discussion going on around that. And you can replace it by agility and innovation has been accelerated by 10 years. And how can I play a part in this? So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's really taking a belief and putting in its place an empowering thought that allows you to move forward freely and positively. However, it is easier said than done in some circumstances, and I understand that. So if you want to, and there was a will, how can you take change as an opportunity? I believe that by asking yourself some empowering questions, you can really start thinking in a different way that can enable you to move forward. Questions such as what if, you know, starting with what if or what else. It can be how can I, you know, what existing skills I have, who can I reach out to? So friends, family, teachers, you know, don't be afraid to reach out to people and ask for help. That is, you know, a big lesson that most people learn later in life. You know, ask for help. People are there, they're willing to help. You know, even asking questions like, who will support me? You know, I mean, you've got your family, your mentors, your coach, your sport coaches. Look around you. There's so many people who will be willing to help you and support you. And all you have to do is ask. So these are just a few examples of how you can start thinking in a positive way, in an empowering way to allow you to move forward. Now let's look at a few examples where thinking positively amidst any change has proven that it will impact you positively and help you grow. There are many, many studies out there to prove this. One study that I'll reference here is, there was a study done that makes, sorry, if you can go back to the previous slide. Yeah, so study proves that happiness makes you successful rather than success makes you happy. This study was published in Psychological Bulletin a few years back. I believe it was early 2000s. And it examined a study of over 275,000 people and found that the happiest people actually owe their success in part or, you know, fully to optimism and positive outlook. What they basically found and concluded at the end of the study is that when people are happy, they tend to feel confident, they, you know, emanate this positive energy, and they're energetic, they're optimistic, and this tends to make them more likable, more sociable. And when you're more likable and sociable, it really benefits you in the long term because it creates these perceptions and allows you to move forward in life. So hence in my experience in life and in work, I say that positivity is a game changer. It is actually a clever way of thinking that allows you to grow and succeed. And I mean, I would even say that, you know, positivity is a way of life. So how can you start thinking positively? Increasing positive thinking, which leads to see opportunity in all situations, which leads to success. And in my research and application, from what I learned from it, I have found 3 very practical and fundamental ways of thinking more positively to impact your life. The first one is meditation. There's, you know, tons of research, and you can go out there and read it. There's one research that I'll quickly take you through is that a researcher by the name of Fredrickson and her colleagues, they basically revealed that people who meditate consistently, so daily and at the consistent time as well, they display more positive emotions than those who do not. And, you know, as expected, people who meditated also build this valuable long-term skills. In fact, you know, what they did was that they did an experiment where they told people for 3 months, you know, meditate. And then when they looked back after 3 months, when the experiment was over, what they found was that people who had meditated daily, they continue to display increased mindfulness, purpose in life, you know, things like social support and decreased illness symptoms versus those who did not. The next point is writing, journaling. It's a forgotten trait over the years. it's so powerful to sort of put your thoughts down and have that clarity of thought when you reread them and really see where your thoughts are taking you. Again, there was a study, tons of studies out there. One study that I'll reference is it was published in the Journal of Research and Personality, and it examined roughly about 90 students who were split in two groups. And the first group intentionally wrote about positive experience each day, just 3 days. And the other group wrote about a control topic. And 3 months later, when they went back, what they found was that the students who actually wrote about positive experiences had better mood levels, fewer visits to the health center, so on and so forth. And this blew me away. I mean, imagine just better health after just 3 days of writing about positive things. I mean, that's a pretty powerful thing. And then finally, it's creating a tribe or a connection. I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase that you're an average of 5 people you're with, or even something around you're the people you surround yourself with. The people around you have the power to lead you to success by their thinking and ethos. I firmly believe that. I've seen it multiple times in my life. So my message to you is that make sure you choose the people who you surround yourself with. You know, it's uplifting people, people who support you. People who will rally you, you know, who think you're important, and look for them in society. They're everywhere. As I mentioned earlier, family, friends, mentors, you know, reach out on LinkedIn. People are willing to, you know, give you their time. Social clubs, coaches, sport coaches, whoever they are, teachers. It is critical for your success that you surround yourself with people who are positive and who have a growth-oriented mindset. That's really, really important. So, yeah, that basically brings us to the end of this talk. And I will basically leave you with 3 key things. If you forget everything else, you know, I encourage you to just remember these 3 things. Number 1 is that change is good. Don't be scared, don't resist it. And just remember, change equals opportunity. Number 2 is recognize your limiting beliefs and challenge them through positive thinking. And number 3 is you have the power to create your success for yourself through positivity. It's really in your hands and in your minds, and it will allow you to move forward in life. Yeah, so that's pretty much it from me.
Thank you so much, Tasneem, for that amazing talk. Really, really great to hear kind of your background, and thank you so much for sharing how we can, you know, embrace change as an opportunity, as you've rightly said. So I really enjoyed it personally. There has been a question that has come through, so I'm just going to bring it up. And the question is, what tips do you have in finding a mentor?
I would say that there are lots of formal channels. There are organizations like Brightside who can pair you up with a mentor. Then you can look around you, whether it's a university, a specific professor that you look up to, or early in your career, reach out to people, you know, somebody who you admire from far away. See if they're willing to mentor you, give you their, you know, their time, maybe an hour a month, or even LinkedIn. I mean, use LinkedIn. There's so many people out there sharing advices. Message them and see if they're willing to just speak to you. It doesn't have to be long term, it can be short term.
Sure, great, thank you so much. I hope that's answered your question. I think that was the only one, so we will end the talk here, but just wanted to again thank Tasneem for the amazing talk, and just to remind you that we have again a series of talks, one a week while schools are closed, and the next one is about how to start planning a career while you are in education. So if that's of interest to you, please do log in, sign up, register, and that talk will be on Monday. But I will also email the YouTube link to this video to you, and the rest of the other talks that will be happening in the weeks to come. Thank you so much for registering and spending your time with us today. I hope you found it useful, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.